Phantasm. Is it a nightmare? Phantasm. Is it an illusion? Phantasm. Is it an evil? Phantasm.
If you know me in this channel, you'll know that I tend to gravitate towards two things: the horror genre of movies and television, and weird and obscure things. Phantasm is a film that is not only horror, but probably one of the most obscure concepts for a horror picture that I've ever heard of, and potentially holds one of the most interesting and forgotten icons of the horror genre. The movie opens up on a dark night in the middle of a foreboding cemetery. As cemeteries are well known for their appeal of romance, a drunk man makes out with a woman who then pulls out a knife to stab him in the chest. Friends of this man, Jody and Reggie, go on to believe that he had committed suicide and attend his funeral the next day. Jody's 13-year-old brother Mike observes the funeral from a distance, where he notices the funeral mortician steal the casket after the ceremony, moving it single-handedly. No easy feat for any mere mortal. Mike believes there's something odd about the local mortician, but is a bit more concerned about his brother Jody leaving town without him. Mike is a little too attached to his brother after the death of his parents and ends up following him everywhere. One night, he follows his brother Jody to a bar where he picks up a woman and takes her to the cemetery. Don't ask why so many people in this town think a cemetery is a good place to hook up. You'll be sitting here for days. He witnesses some creatures watching in the graveyard, and he does what any kid would do.
What the heck?
Curious as to the goings-on, Mike decides to investigate the mortuary, where he discovers the mortician, known in this film as the Tall Man, is not exactly human. And has a very strange device hanging around as well. Phantasm is a very bizarre film, and probably has one of the most creative premises I've ever seen in a horror film for the time. I know no other way to explain it other than telling you that it's very surreal and dreamlike, and it walks the line between conventional horror and science fiction fantasy. It's almost as if the film itself is a shot-for-shot edited scene from like a dream. A very, very visceral dream. And I personally found that all the more inviting as I watched. Some of the greater parts of this film are the set pieces. While they're rather cheap, a lot of them are very memorable and work in the film great. The second, of course, is the music. Nothing is more iconic from this film than the music and atmosphere. Also, I'd be committing a sin if I didn't mention the iconic Hemi-Cuda from this movie. I mean, I'm not really a car guy per se, but when I see wheels like these, you've got my interest. However, one of the worst parts of this film is some of the acting. It's not as bad as some low-budget films go, but there are a lot of really gold lines in this.
They were jumping on the car and making these weird sounds.
Sure wasn't that retarded kid Timmy up the street?
The effects aren't the best either. A few of them still hold up, but there's a few later in the film, like this mutant fly-like creature, that end up looking really lame. Phantasm is the third film written by writer and director Don Coscarelli, locally financed as an independent film working for the budget of $300,000. It definitely comes off as a passion project, and even some of the family members of the director were involved in the production. Its success was phenomenal, making a whopping $32 million in the box office. As an aspiring director myself, I find the success of this film very inspirational, and I hope that other aspiring directors look at this film and gain the same level of hope for their films. If trippy 1970s horror movies are your thing, Phantasm is the film you gotta check out this month. If you want to watch it, it's available for free on the streaming service Tubi.
I've been waiting for you.